Hello, and welcome to another episode of Purple Ponderings with Pankaj. Today, I have with me a dear friend of mine, Mike Fiedel, on the show. Mike is part of our founder-focused series of Purple Ponderings that goes into understanding what goes behind the making of a founder and the life of a founder. So, Mike, without further ado, welcome to the show. And to some of our viewers who may not know about you, if you can take a couple of minutes and just introduce yourself and also tell us one thing which most people may not know about you.
Thanks, Pankaj, for having me. I appreciate it. I've watched your series before, so it's a pleasure to participate. Again, I'm Mike Fiedel, co-founder of PolicyFly, a digital policy management system, and co-owner, co-managing director of Insurtech Ohio, a community-based organization celebrating the innovation and leadership here in the state of Ohio that is helping the insurance industry evolve. I am a rather recent insurance enthusiast and insurance nerd, if I dare say so myself. I absolutely adore this industry, in part because it's a people-driven, trust-driven industry with obviously an incredible legacy. And I feel very fortunate to be in this industry, building relationships with leading and innovative companies, again, both here in Ohio and nationally. Getting to know someone like yourself, Pankaj, is a great example of the fruits of my labor in insurance. As far as something that people don't know, I'm West Coast born. And although I grew up in Los Angeles, I am a diehard San Diego Padres fan.
As I came to know recently when we were out on the Wrigley Field, and my dear beloved Cubs managed to make Mike happy.
Yes, that was a great game. Very much in the San Diego Padres' favor.
Yeah, well, we can go about that back and forth. But, Mike, that's a very interesting background. And as someone who's a kind of a recent entrant into the insurance world, but you're no stranger to kind of the startup entrepreneurial route. So if you don't mind, just share a little bit about sort of, why you started on that path, what has made you stick with it. Let's go there for a second. Yeah.
My to tell you the full story here as quick as I can, my romance with entrepreneurship started at a young age. My father had his own business, and I've always been extremely passionate about teamwork. And I think being someone who likes to start something, someone who likes to be part of a team, there really is no more exceptional experience than to try to build a business from scratch. Nothing really puts you and your teammates on the line more than building a profession around something that otherwise didn't exist until you created it. My love for this company started about 12 years ago when I joined my co-founder and PolicyFly CEO, Corey Crosland, in helping him build his consulting practice with a digital production company called CrossCon, trying to help him turn that into a scalable web development, web services company. He, myself, and our third co-founder, Marcel Esser, built that company into a team of roughly 25 with an office in Manhattan. We had clients like Google, a digital production company called Radical Media. They were more in the entertainment space as well as in digital. Those two clients in particular introduced us to Johnson & Johnson. We worked with the Johnny Cash Foundation. We actually worked with the government of Qatar on their initial World Cup website. We worked on all of these really cool projects, but along the way, we found an MGA called Sterling Risk out of New York that introduced us to a consumer direct insurance program called Music Pro Insurance. And it was really our first foray into insurance. And fortunately, as a collective team with Sterling Risk, we knocked that project out of the park. Music Pro Insurance is still a very successful insurance program to this day. and it introduced us into building a business in the insurance industry around digital policy management that I otherwise would not have experienced. And needless to say, our love for that business took off. And PolicyFly was more or less the brainchild from learning alongside the work we did roughly 10 years ago with that MGA out of New York.
Got it. That's certainly very interesting. And you talked about the digital production and the consulting company that was the kind of the precursor to what PolicyFly is now. And that's a good segue into, I wanted to get your thoughts on emerging technology or technology in general, because it sounds like you've been, obviously a big user of technology to solve different problems. Just wanted to get your perspective as you've seen these new technologies come by. How do you decide which ones to sort of pick up and run, with them? Or do you, is it more on the business side of, hey, what does the business need to do? And therefore, what technology, fits in? Just want to get your thoughts on sort of how do you, think about technology in the business world.
It's really important that you understand the application, the strategy of any technology long before you start choosing what sort of software you think you need to implement in order to achieve those goals. I think there's a ongoing demystification around innovation. Folks who have been around really any industry for some time, I think, tend to have a misconception that innovation is really about choices in technology, and it's really about questions around strategy. More or less, that's where you learn and identify opportunities to build something new. And the first questions and thoughts that anyone needs to have, that any successful company has had, whether you're Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, those leaders in terms of business didn't necessarily start with technology. They may have been quick to understand ways in which technology can achieve efficiency or growth at a macro level, and understand, down to the very detail how in the code they can execute it. But the fundamental reason that they were successful, and that anyone in really any innovative endeavor is successful, is because they understood the experience with which they could build something that was better than the experience that exists today. And those in industries like insurance, who have worked for 20, 30 years, have a fundamental strength that I think often they're not taking advantage of. They should be asking themselves, what is my life like today? What is the life like of the consumers I deal with, the internal team members I manage? What could it be like? What should it be like? Start asking provocative questions about how you could break the mold and create value, and then work your way backwards into how can that be implemented. Find someone who's technical, who can answer those questions, who can kind of join your think tank, your discovery, and better understand how to apply technology. I'm pretty passionate that all too often people look at innovation and digitization and think, man, there's all these technical questions and all this technology I'm not familiar with. None of that really matters in the first few steps of innovating anything. What matters more than anything else is the experience of what you're familiar with and how you think it should be better.
Got it. Yeah, that's certainly that's a very forward-thinking view of how you should think about technology. So let's come to PolicyFly now, Mike. I mean, I think you've recently congratulations on the YC success, and I wanted to just ask you about a little bit of that, in sense that there's a lot of opportunities for the founding team to accelerate or move the company a certain direction, and there's a lot of distractions that come along the way, but there's also a lot of accelerators or resources that come along the way that hurdle you around the right path. So tell us a little bit about YC and maybe other resources or other opportunities you've tapped into to hurdle the company in the right direction?
Definitely need to find leadership and mentorship outside of yourself with every opportunity. And it doesn't necessarily take a Y Combinator. I think I look at our friendship professionally as a really good microcosm of the types of relationships that everyone should be striving for. Now, not everybody is comfortable taking the time, getting on camera, having an interview, or conducting an interview. But needless to say, if you want to be innovative, you need to cultivate conversation about what it is you want to innovate in the industry you want to be around. So the time you take building your business heads down does need to very much be in parallel with the time you take to socialize and market your thought process, your capabilities externally. And you can't go into those types of conversations as a one-way street. You need to go in and take the time to ask good questions and listen. I think you and I have had some really interesting conversations already, and they've really only scratched the surface over a beer or at the Cubs game. This is a really, I think, strong step forward, just this interview alone in terms of our relationship. People should find themselves doing these things, networking. Y Combinator, I think, is a graduated step in an effort that Corey, Marcel, and I, the three co-founders, invested in a long time ago with each other and with people outside of ourselves. It doesn't happen overnight. Some people are lucky enough to stumble onto a really good idea early on in their professional career. But for a lot of us, who, myself in particular, have been at it for a long time, getting to a point where an accelerator like Y Combinator pays attention is a graduation, again, of a lot of time and effort, getting to know people, learning from those relationships, investing that knowledge into what you do on a daily basis. And then ultimately, an accelerator like that is going to pay attention to success. A lot of our success in building PolicyFly quickly was because of the expertise we had developed working with the likes of Google and other clients in the company that precipitated PolicyFly. That had nothing to necessarily do with insurance, but we certainly knew what it took to walk into a room and explain a vision, understand user experience. Naturally, that's something that has been lacking a bit in the insurance industry. A tremendous amount of understanding customers, selling to customers, almost an exceptional level compared to other industries. I think that's really one of the strengths of the insurance industry, is understanding your customer. But understanding how to create a digital workflow, not so much. That certainly has been lacking. How to adopt the knowledge of a customer or the knowledge of an agent and adapt that into how you communicate and transact online. Huge opportunity. We're just scratching the surface as an industry. It's part of why PolicyFly has been so successful. It's part of why Y Combinator gave us an opportunity to participate.
Got it. Absolutely. And, I always say, Mike, that what you get out of any relationship, any program, any resource, any mentor, depends upon what you put into it, right? So I certainly, validate what you're saying. So going to, the comment that you just made, think of kind of Y Combinator more as a graduation of this continuous school of learning, and it doesn't stop, right? It kind of goes on and on from here. Tell us a little bit about what's the next milestone? What's the next thing that you're gearing towards at PolicyFly?
So our ambitious approach is to cultivate the marketplace necessary for specialty program administrators to transact business more efficiently and to grow their programs successfully alongside the success of their agents. Essentially, policy management has always been about delivering for agents and policyholders. That essentially is always what policy management has been trying to achieve. How fast can you deliver a price? How efficiently can you submit and activate an endorsement? But it's difficult from a technical point of view to operate these workflows with confidence, to know that you're pricing properly, that you're generating the right wordings and documentation. And so the technology of the last 20 or 30 years has been predominantly behind closed doors. More and more, it's been software and less legacy mainframe technology. But it's been almost exclusively, web-based or not, behind the underwriting wall, where essentially the underwriters were being delivered certain levels of tooling, and they can speak for themselves whether they've been happy with that tooling or not. But it essentially has been behind a wall of their own experience. And agents would still email in, send their attached PDFs and Excel documents. And then once the underwriter had used their policy management system to complete the workflow, they would email and transact that way. Web-based technology allows really all parties, but we're fundamentally starting with what we are very passionate about, the agent and underwriter experience. All of these transactions should happen in a shared workspace where the underwriters have the policy management capabilities that they either are already used to or absolutely deserve and need, while at the same time giving the transparency to the agents to participate as much or as little as they need to in any given workflow. And that's where we're also extremely passionate about the service that comes with our technology, because what you can't do for both underwriters and agents is deliver a black box of technology, no matter how fantastic it is, without some level of escalating service if the agent or the underwriter needs support, especially from an agent point of view. The underwriters and our clients, who are primarily the underwriters, naturally get used to systems that they adopt. They use them every day. But that's not the reality for an agent. Agents in sales have a need to pay attention to choice. They have a requirement that's a bit unfair in this industry, that they have to use everyone else's systems when they're trying to identify for their client what program, what insurance carrier are they going to work with. And so you really need to pay a lot of attention. And it's, again, something we're only just scratching the surface on, but we're paying a lot of attention to it at PolicyFly. How do we delight the agent? How do we participate in this policy management ecosystem in a way where the agent's efforts and experience matter as much as the underwriter? Because ultimately, that's what our underwriting clients want from PolicyFly. They want to know that when agents find out they're on PolicyFly, that was the right choice, that's in an arena where they understand we may not be delivering right now every touch point we wish we could for agents, every level of automation we could, but damn, we're going to try to improve every day, every week, to take their feedback and learn from it as much as we're learning from the underwriters at the same time. Because again, this is essentially what policy management is. It's speed to quote, it's speed to bind, it's speed to endorse. And so the agent experiencing this, and their client as well, their experience matters as much as the underwriter. And that is a bit of, I think, the watershed moment in policy management.
Got it. Yeah, policy management certainly has been a complex area. In the insurance industry, most of the product platforms that started from the claims for a reason, right? The claims was simpler, policy was the tougher animal. So, congratulations for making all the progress on the policy management front. But segueing into a little bit more on the personal side, I wanted to ask you, Mike, if you were to look back in your life, what would you say is your proudest achievement and your biggest learning till date?
I'll get at least a little sentimental. I'll say the friends I've made and the relationships I've built. My wife now works in insurance. Of all the achievements, the people I know and that I love and that are close to me are no doubt the most important. successes in my life. Bringing that type of energy and mentality into everything I do and into the insurance industry is absolutely my proudest achievement. I think right now I'm living my greatest life, and so it's exciting to say that. I think looking back, the steps that I've taken to put myself in this position, the risks that I've taken, I'm proud of. I'm certainly frustrated that it hasn't happened already, and I got to just let that go. It's an undeniable feeling. I wish I could have been 10 times successful over and over and over again, and this would have been the 10th company that I could hang my hat on. But it's quickly becoming the first, and I'm proud that I haven't given up, and that I share in this journey with a lot of friends and a lot of family, both again personally and professionally. I'm very proud of that.
Got it. Yeah, that comes across, strong and clear. Your value on relationships with the close circle that you have. That's certainly very important. So, my next question, Mike, is for someone like you, to be successful today, you also have to keep up with all of the changes, all of the updates that are happening all around us. Just wanted to know personally, what do you do to keep yourself up to date? Any productivity tools that you use maybe to, get more juice out of the day?
Kudos to LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn has built a high quality experience. There's certainly some distracting communication and content on that platform, given how much it's scaled. But if you're using it effectively and navigating it instead of just watching it, if you're actually using it to build relationships and connections, I'd say it's a very important channel. As you and I have come across each other, we go to conferences all the time. You definitely got to put yourself out there. Now that the world is that much more, if not almost exclusively remote, depending on your position, it's even more important that you find opportunities and events. And again, when you're in person, be at the event, show up, get to know people, find opportunities like this to continue the conversation. Don't just show up and go home. That's on you. That more than anything else, putting yourself out there matters. I think I could name a couple of industry publications who are quickly becoming friends. I'm going to avoid it so that I don't forget to name anyone that I really am trying hard to get to know. But there are good industry publications out there. Sign up for them. I often do no more than just glance at the headlines, and I'm just looking for names I know, businesses I want to meet, names that I'm interested in that I've talked to in person. If someone's been given a promotion, I know I want to shoot them an email and say congrats. If there's a company who's doing something interesting, they've just raised money, they've just acquired a company, I want to have that in the back of my mind for when I see someone at that company again. Those are touch points that I think matter on a daily basis.
Got it. Excellent. Well, so now we come to the last, segment of this interaction. Mike, I'm going to give you two choices. I want you to pick up one of the two choices and tell us why you picked that choice. So, starting with baseball or football?
Oof. Football. It's just more, it's more interesting. Offense and defensively, it's just more fun. Okay.
Superman or Spider-Man?
Oh, I would definitely say Superman.
Why?
Oh, and the why, I'll take all the superpowers instead of just a few.
Okay.
I'm greedy, Pankaj.
Yeah, I can see that. Texas Hold'em or blackjack?
Ooh, Texas Hold'em for sure. Poker is a far more interesting game. I love both, but I particularly adore poker.
Okay, Iron Man or Captain America?
Oh man, who are you, a comic nut over there?
Yeah,
well,
totally.
Comic freak, aren't you?
Completely.
Iron Man or Captain America? Iron Man is so much cooler. Captain America is pretty cheesy. I'll take Iron Man all day.
Okay, for the coolness quotient.
Yeah. Come on, he's a businessman. He's crushing it. He's got a private jet. Captain America seems pretty buttoned up. I would much rather have a night out with Iron Man than Captain America.
That's a good answer. Yeah. Golf or tennis?
Golf. I'm better at golf, but I'm not very good. I'd like to think I'm going to get better at golf, but it's been 40 years in the making. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Same here. And then finally, if you were to go on a vacation, would you want to go to Iceland or Hawaii?
Hawaii. I grew up in LA. I have fond memories of getting to go to Hawaii. I've got 2 kids. I would adore taking them to Hawaii. Definitely Hawaii. Though I have never been to Iceland, and it would be very cool. But Hawaii, no doubt.
Awesome. Well, with that, we come to an end to this episode. Any final words from you, Mike?
No, love hanging out with you. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Same here. All right. On that note, we end this episode of Purple Ponderings with Pankaj. We will be back very soon with another amazing guest. Till then, bye-bye.